Francis Ngannou, right? Guy that's done everything wrong. Guy that's destroyed his own career and is worth nothing because he's no longer the championship. Boy, I can't take him out of my mouth. What is that? What is that? Because it's something deep-rooted. There's a psychological, but it's happening to me. But it's happening to me subconsciously. Why can I not talk? Why can I not stop talking about him? I thought he wasn't interesting. I thought you couldn't draw with Francis. I thought, because I heard myself say it, that because he's no longer champion, he's no longer relevant. But I keep talking about him. I got a message this morning from Jesse on Fire, and he says, is Francis going to one championship? And I wrote Jesse back, and I said, what's your source? And he wrote me back, he goes, no, I don't have, I'm asking you a question, you got some inside scoop. Now, I bring that up because I dug into it, because I had this message from Jesse, and Francis has come out. You guys see this? Francis said it made it sound as though he's down to one of two, that he's narrowed everything down, and that he's either going with one championship or PFL. But I have to say that because there's other interpretations, perhaps. I believe that Francis said he's down to PFL or one championship. Okay, so we're going to operate under that assumption. Well, that tells us a lot, right? That tells us that he's not boxing Fury. That tells us he's not boxing Deontay Wilder. And what happened to those great ideas? I'm just asking. And what is Francis going to do? I believe, okay, this is Chael reading stuff and doing his own detective work. But I'm like an accountant, okay? I'm only as good as the information I'm given. But I think whatever Francis does must have a pay-per-view element to it. Let's say Francis wants $10 million. Okay, let's say. We know this is about money. And a guy could come to him and say, I'm not going to give you $10 million. However, I'm not going to cap it. So you could make $10 million. Having that ability, having that opportunity really does give you some extra charge. It really does put a little bit of pep in your step. And I think, and I chose the number 10 million, it could be 20 million. That's where I think the pay-per-view is very important. I think that it's very unlikely Francis goes anywhere that doesn't have that element. And I think the other promoters know this too. I think everybody has heard crystal clear from Francis just in the media that he's done. Before we even sit down and start negotiating, you and me, just from the media's done, I believe every business guy, every business decision within our industry already has this crystal clear. And therefore, PFL, which has announced and even one time done a pay-per-view event, I think that PFL would lead the way. But I bring this to you because I could see where one championship would really want Francis. I don't know what that division's like. I don't know the huge fights you're going to get, but you got to start somewhere. Can we all agree on that? You got to get started. Why not start with the star? Why not start with Francis? Build a division around him if you have to do that. They're coming to America. I'm talking about one championship. They want an American presence and American buildings for American live gates. I'm just suggesting this to you because if one championship comes out and announces we have Francis, I believe that is the first step to the announcement by one championship of we're going to the pay-per-view business. And it's a very interesting thing. It's a very fascinating thing, right? You would carry that over to the PFL as well. Before you work on what's the division look like, before you work on where do we put Francis in, who are we building up, who is going to go opposite him, before you get there, it does matter who's going to distribute this thing and how. It's called in the business called where is it going to live? For example, what I'm doing right now, it lives on YouTube. That's where you guys are right now. But that's what you would say, where's this going to live? And I just think that it's very interesting. The PFL comes out and announces, we've got Francis, and he's fighting on August 2nd. I'm making things up. That means on August 2nd, they're doing a pay-per-view show, which is interesting because there's a lot of things that come with that. I suggest that for you with one championship too. Francis is starting to hone in, and he's doing this by process, it appears, of elimination. As opposed to process of I've got so many people, it appears that he's breaking them down. He's down to PFL, he's down to one championship. One, the deal with Prime is not announced pay-per-view. PFL has held a pay-per-view, but has announced with the help of Jake Paul that this is the direction they're going in. It's a very interesting time to be Francis Ngannou. And we're starting to get a little bit of clarity. We got a whole bunch of questions, but we're starting, right? The waters are starting to be less murky. We're close. Gonna need another week at least. But we're gonna have some Francis news coming real soon.